I built an acoustic for Gary Richrath. I built an electric for Mo, and I built a couple instruments for Slink Rand, an Explorer and a double neck. And I built a red guitar for Sammy Hagar when CV was doing the sound for him. He built the cabinets and whatever for him. And Adrian Ballou, that was interesting with Adrian. I didn't really know when I was building him a guitar until parts started showing up. I'd get a Mustang body coming from Fender, and there would be the Bowen machine heads, the Kahler tremolo, the Roland synthesizer system, and the Duncan pickups. They would just start showing up, and then he would give me a call and say that he had a neck, and usually it would be an old Mustang neck, and we'd put that together. And yeah, that's some people.
How many think you built over the years?
A couple hundred, yeah. And I try to get out about one a month. I'm still building them, and the one I build the most now is similar to a Gretsch Tennessean. It's an archtop instrument, except I use solid spruce on the top and solid maple on the back and sides, and maple neck, whereas the Gretsch is a plywood instrument. All of mine are custom, and that works out really well. The customer will tell me different things most people that I work for have been playing for, 5, 10 years, and they've gone through a lot of instruments, and I just tell them, just write down the favorite things about each instrument. Just tell me what size neck they want, what kind of fingerboard, any special inlays. One thing most people want bigger side dots anymore, so they can see them, and what size fret, what type of machine heads, what type of hardware, chrome, gold, black, and everything I build is custom. And one thing I've learned is to make sure it'll fit a case. It used to be the instruments I built were just different shapes and whatever. We'd end up having to buy a star or an anvil case, and ended up costing almost as much as the instrument. So if you can find something that fits a standard case, you save a lot of cost.
What is probably one of the most important parts of building a guitar, the wood, or what do you find to make a guitar have maybe the best sound?
Yeah, well, with my arch tops, I've got some really good quality spruce right now that I lucked out on, but I used to use just regular Sitka spruce, and that was very good. It's carved, it's carved in an arch. It's like a violin. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick in the middle, and then it tapers out to around 1/8, and then back to 1/4 to the edges. It's got the F holes, and then I usually put humbuckers on it. And but I've got some spruce now that I picked up. They're old organ pipes that I got a lot of it. They tore this old organ out of a church, and the pipes were big, square, tall spruce pipes, and so the wood was already 100 years old or so, and that's what I'm using now. And usually I use rosewood on flat tops. I use a spruce top and rosewood back and sides, and arch tops I usually use the maple. One thing up in northern Wisconsin, you can get some really nice maple, just really flamed wild grain whole shot. So yeah. And on the necks, it's usually maple or mahogany, and that's pretty standard, and with ebony or rosewood fingerboard. And the neck, it depends on what size of neck they want as far as the shape and everything, just to fit their hand. So.
Has technology changed things as far as
Yes.
digital?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that was really neat. Just over the years, things have gotten better. We've gotten better hardware, and better finishes, and parts have become more available. Bridges, tailpieces, the bindings, and machine heads. Machine heads have changed a lot over the years. Now most machine heads are the people use are the enclosed, where they've got basically grease packed in with the gear and sealed, and so you don't wear out.
The difference between an acoustic and an electric, you think, well, maybe the electric would be easier, is it to make, or is there any real difference? It's still the same principle?
It takes less time, but with the electric, you still have to do everything right, you know. And people say, well, it's just a block of wood. Well, yeah, it is a block of wood, but when you're amplifying it so 16,000 people can hear it, then everything counts. Every little thing counts. And the different types of wood, you know, whether you use maple, or I've made some instruments out of solid rosewood, which can be a problem sometimes because they won't shut up. They just keep ringing, you know. And then people having built them out of swamp ash. There's one wood that I'm working with quite a bit now. It's called kari. It's a wood that they pull out of the New Zealand swamps, and it's been in the swamp for 50,000 years. The wood is actually that old, and so they bring that back to Ashland, Wisconsin, which is 10 miles from my house, and they dry this stuff down, and so well, basically suck all the moisture out of it, and that's a long process because you don't want it to split and crack and everything like that. So by the time I get it, it's extremely stable, and it's got that cool 50,000-year-old factor, you know, right?